if you let these emotions get buried and they're just, like we were saying, they are growing in size and moving off kinetic energy, then anytime you hit like a little shallow point, the wave's just gonna crash over that. Yeah.
I love that. There's like a rewiring that needs to happen where it's like, yes, I can, and I can stand up to myself, and I can set healthy boundaries. And that's like essential to be in flow state.
Get into like the same yoga positions.
Oh my God.
What's happening? We're going to talk about being in the flow state in relationships today. And Marley and I feel like we have kind of achieved this flow state in a relationship. And we're going to share with you today kind of how we can get into this flow state and what is it and how we have an intuitive relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, how would you describe flow state, Marley?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like you've kind of talked about before, like flow state being something that like athletes can achieve, when they're in their like flow, they're like, it's almost like to me, I think it's like your masculine and feminine energies like come into balance, and there's this just like, it's like this opening and unlocking of like, you basically become like this channel of like something greater than you.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what I think of when I think of flow state and like relationship flow state. I think of as like things are just in flow with your partner, and everything is very harmonious and cohesive, and as you go about your day, it's almost like this unspoken like fluidity.
It's kind of like how we start doing yoga at the same time without saying, hey, we're going to do yoga. We just both start doing it, and we even both do like get into like the same yoga positions.
Oh my God.
What's happening?
Okay, just check the light. We've had so many disruptions. The light just went out if you're only listening, and Kevin's just gonna be adjusting that.
Our podcast light. All right. Well,
our podcast light just went out.
Yeah, but that's fine. It was actually a little too bright. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
So.
That's fine. We've had a lot of technical difficulties to make this podcast go, but we're going to keep going because flow state.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like this is also...
It's actually nice that we're doing a podcast inside right now because it's pouring down rain, and we were just going to go to the Florence Pipe contest.
Yeah.
And, well, we're going to go there after the pod, but...
flow state. This is what happens when you're in flow state. Whoa, I feel like we're maybe being taught a lesson right now. We've had all these little technical difficulties. It feels like there's all these problems, but we're just flowing with it, Yeah. Doesn't have to stop the flow.
Right.
Yeah.
And this could make, a couple upset with each other, like, oh, the lights out, and then you start poking each other's buttons. But yeah,
it could get frustrating, and even right now I feel like I'm about ready to sneeze and I'm just gonna flow with it.
Yeah, because
what's happening now? My nose is all sniffly, and here we go.
This is a great example of how we're just rolling with it, flowing, and
yeah,
I mean, our intuition is guiding us, I think, to do the podcast.
Just keep going.
Yeah. So, we get into what I think is like a flow state in relationships, in that, I mean, it obviously doesn't happen the first month or even the first couple months after dating someone, but maybe after 6 months, you know, you just kind of find your flow.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think we found our flow pretty quickly, though. I mean, I moved into your house the day we started dating.
Yeah.
I just moved in.
Yeah, it was like unofficially moved in, but kind of just moved in and never moved out. But yeah, I think, I mean, when you say you can't find your flow maybe right away, like, I also think in a way we did sort of right away, but I also think we had a lot of like balancing out to do. And I also think like finding your flow state is really being willing to like do that inner healing work and look at yourself, and also like take responsibility for like your role in the relationship. But I also think that yeah, I did a lot of healing work like before we started dating too. And so I think because of that, when we started dating, things were very in the flow. And you seem like you've always been very like grounded and stable.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be, you know, I try to also work on myself to be that way. So I did probably a similar thing, you know, before we started dating. You know, just continuing to do the inner work to, I mean, not that I was thinking about like, oh, I want to do this inner work so I can get in the flow state in my next relationship, but I think that's what it ended up
Right.
doing.
That's interesting because I was thinking about that. I was like, you know, I was consciously manifesting my partner, and we talk more about that in the episode where we talk about how we manifested each other. But yeah, like I was intentionally manifesting a partner, and I knew that like to do that I needed to be like stable within myself. But yeah, like I want to talk about like how flow state looks in our relationship. And yeah, like just I guess I'm thinking of an example of when you were surfing and I was also at the beach. And then do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we went to the beach and I was just telling you, like, hey, when we get to the beach, if the waves are good, I'm just going to walk back to the house, grab my board, you know, and then you're going to have to hang out on the beach by yourself. And so we get to the beach, the waves are firing, you know, perfect knee-high waves for me. So I go back to the house, get my surfboard, and then you're just like, well, I'm going to go over here for an hour. And then, you know, you went to another part of the beach that's better for swimming and hanging out. So you couldn't actually see the surf spot. So you just said, you can meet me back over here. I might go back to the house. So get my surfboard, I'm surfing, and then probably actually out there for an hour and a half. And then at one point I was just like, okay, I think I've gotten enough waves. I'm going to go find Marley. So actually I was kind of sitting in the channel and I was going to paddle in and get one more wave maybe, or just paddle back. And then this like A-frame wave comes through the channel and I'm like, I guess I'll just catch this. So I ride it back like all the way to the beach, and as I'm riding it, I see you on the beach walking right to where I'm going to land on the beach, like right at the same time. So that felt like very flow state. Like we were communicating, you know,
Telepathically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like I just decided to kind of like walk over there just to see how you were doing. And actually, I had walked over to like watch you surf. I watched you surf for a little bit.
Okay.
And then
yeah,
I was
and
like,
I didn't see you at all on
yeah.
the beach.
And then I was like, oh, I guess I'll walk back. And then when I walked back, it was like cloudier on the part of the beach that I was at. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just grab my things and walk back and maybe just see if Kevin is done surfing or something. And of course, it was like the most perfect timing. And as I'm walking back, Kevin is surfing in, and it was like, whoa, perfect.
Yeah, and that happens all the time.
But also, like,
yeah.
that's been our whole relationship, Kevy. Even our friendship has been like that. Like, before we started dating, we would just both go to the beach, and this was in Washington before we moved to Hawaii together. We both lived in Washington, and we were just friends for a few years, and so we would, you know, randomly see each other at the beach and then go on walks. And that was like our whole friendship was based upon randomly seeing each other, going to the same place at the same time. And I mean, it was a small town, but I mean, like the way we would randomly see each other, I mean, you'd be gone for like months at a time. You'd be traveling, like doing different things, and then like we'd just see each other randomly and then go for a walk.
Yeah, and we had each other's number, but we wouldn't text. I mean, only a few times would we text to hang out. But yeah, we would just run into each other randomly all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I also think there's certain people that we naturally maybe are in flow with, but I think that was also because we both were like in the flow with ourselves.
Yeah, we weren't blocking out any.
Yeah, like I feel like, I mean, my journey has been like past life healing and like very deep emotional trauma from other lifetimes and clearing that karma and, you know, cleansing myself of all this, like these wounds that my soul has experienced beyond this lifetime, because this life has been like very not traumatic. I mean, I've been really lucky with like the family that I have, and so yeah, but I did so much like healing work around past lifetimes. I ended up like writing a book about it, and it's a very like intense journey because I spontaneously started remembering my past lives. Anyway, just laying this foundation for you guys to understand like I guess how I perceive the world and like what I mean when I did deep emotional healing, because like in this life I did not have very much trauma to heal, but it was more so like past lifetime trauma that needed to be really healed and cleared.
And that was affecting, that past trauma was affecting your current life.
Yeah. It was almost like maybe perceiving things in my current life as traumatic that weren't traumatic. And it wasn't like that I would outwardly be like, that was so traumatic. It was just kind of like maybe things that were just maybe not that huge of a deal. Like, I don't know, fearing what other people think of me or something. Like social anxiety was very intense for me. And then I had past lifetimes of like being hung as a witch and like and like killed in front of groups of people, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's where that's coming from. And so like it was like very intense healing that I did. within myself on
right.
a
And like
soul
without,
level.
yeah,
Yeah.
without that healing, you would have been feeling those same anxious
Yeah.
thoughts. Maybe
I don't know that we would be even in this relationship if it weren't for that healing. Like, I don't know if I would have been, like, maybe we would, but I don't know if I would have been, like, in this, like, loving, like, more blissful state. Yeah, if I hadn't have gone through that healing. You might have, like, found someone who was more, like, emotionally stable or something.
We were just talking about how we were totally blissed out yesterday.
Yeah.
Just really blissed out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it was like the most blissful day. And it's so funny because, like, I actually got sick like 2 days ago. I was like like I had this excruciating headache, and I feel like it was my body just being like rest, rest, rest. And because every time I would lay down, I would reiki my head and the headache would go away pretty much like within minutes, but otherwise it was like excruciating. And so then the next day I was like, I just need to lay low. But for some reason, like, my whole body just felt like blissed out. And we went to like the pipe contest and watched the surfers
just battling it out.
Yeah. And
win
like,
their heats.
Why was it so blissful? Because it was probably so intense for them. But for us, we like found a little corner where we were away from like the main crowd and the announcements. We were kind of away from it, and it was quieter, and we just were laying on the beach, and the waves were so loud you couldn't even hear the people next to you talking. It was just like, it just was like us and like this, I don't know, it was like, I was talking to Kevin about it, and I was like, this is literally the best sport to watch.
There was a flow to it also, with the waves coming in, the surfers going out. Every 15 minutes, 4 new guys go out, 4 guys come in. It was very flow and blissful to watch.
We were there for like hours.
Yeah, it felt like we were there for an hour, and we were there for 4 hours, I think. And we were also watching gnarly wipeouts. I mean, I saw this one guy drop into a wave, and he did 5 front flips down the face of the wave.
Yeah, I mean, that part was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was surviving too. It was insane.
Surviving. Yeah. I mean, geez, I like so much respect to them. Like, it's such an intense sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like, gosh, Kevy, how do we find our flow? Like, do you have anything to say on that? Like, what brings us in our relationship flow state?
Well, yeah, so I think, it took a couple months for us to kind of find our flow where you're not like anxious about, what the other person's thinking, and then that allows you to get more towards moving into the flow state. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's just, I think you also start to understand what the other person likes and what they don't like. Mm-hmm. And you just little things throughout the day, like what do they like to do throughout the day, and then you kind of form this meld of different things. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure there's some things that I like to do that you don't like to do as much, maybe, but you do those things, and then I'll do some things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can really even think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, so then, you kind of find your flow that way. And then I think I think also just being intuitive, what feels like the right thing to do, and not overthinking.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? This is making me think, like, we never swept anything under the rug. Like, if I had a feeling or, like, if I was upset about something, I was like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And you were very open to talking about it, too. Like, you weren't avoidant. You were just like, let's talk about it.
Okay? Right. And that's actually how we've, like, like, been with the people in our lives, you know? Like, could be anybody, like a coworker, a landlord, somebody, like if there's something. And so
it's hard.
I feel like we tell, you know,
it's really hard.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But like if you're up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know now from like all the past life memories that I've had and like seeing all these like karmic cycles playing out, I'm just like, okay, burying emotions, that creates karma. That is the root of karma. It's buried emotions. And I feel like I'm like shown this over and over. And so like I'm not going to continue to create this karma. Like if there's a problem, we're going to talk about it. If I have like emotions about something, I'm going to cry about it. And I'm going to let it out because I'm not going to bury anything else. It causes so much harm to like my body and also to just like relationships. And when things get buried and pushed under the rug, it becomes like a bigger, I always see it as a wave. Buried emotions like become these waves that move at their own, you know, at their own pace or however they want to, and they become more volatile as they, you know, keep getting swept under the rug, and they become this giant wave.
It's like kinetic energy. They just build over a vast ocean of emotion in your body.
It's momentum. Like karma is these waves. It is emotional, buried emotions. It's like the momentum that's like pushing all these buried feelings up. And it essentially like creates conflict and karmic experiences in our lives that like we don't want to experience. And when we like allow those waves to like move through us and when we allow it to release, then like we're allowing the karma to like release. You know, there's like, this is making me think of like when people are talking about law of attraction and manifestation. One of the things that like really gets me frustrated is like this idea of like you need to feel good in order to attract good things. And like, you know, your vibe attracts, I don't know why I'm thinking your vibe attracts your tribe, like whatever, but like your frequency attracts, you know, what it is that you're calling in. I think that's true, but also I think that can like make you think you're not allowed to feel bad feelings. And I think that's like so harmful because then they get buried and then you're not going to be able to like manifest what you want, because even if you're like you can consciously create waves. Karma is not bad. Karma is like, we have to have karma in order to exist in any sort of sense of separation. Oh my gosh, I'm going on and on, Kevy. But my frustration is just like that. And see, I'm like expressing my feelings right now because I'm not going to let it get buried.
Are you about to have a mental breakdown? On
the pod? Yeah. But my frustration is that like emotions get buried out like in the spiritual community out of an attempt to like be this enlightened one and like manifest, you know, good experiences. And I think we need to like really hold space for the ugly and the pain and like allow it to like rise to the surface to release in order to, like release those karmic cycles. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, I think the karmic cycles are really interesting.
Yeah.
To how, something from, I wasn't yawning there.
Yeah. That's okay.
We got some feedback. I yawned too much on the podcast.
Oh, my mom said you yawned too much.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But it's just because we film them first thing in the morning.
No, not really. It's like 1 o'clock right now.
Yeah. Well, once we got through the technical difficulties, but yeah, I mean, I think like, I don't know.
Going off of the buried emotions thing, we prioritize like talking about everything, not letting things get buried. And to me, that's like just as much part of flow state as like...
Yeah, because then they'll surface. I think, not to talk too much about waves and surfing on this, well, we are talking about flow state.
I think it's very relevant.
Yeah, I think when you have these, if you let these emotions get buried and they're just, like we were saying, they are growing in size and moving off kinetic energy, then anytime you hit like a little shallow point, the wave's just gonna crash over that. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, because then it's like it's invisible otherwise. It's like just maybe a little bump.
Yeah.
Or like you don't even see it.
And that's why, like, I'm just trying to think, like, why do people, how some people, they'll just snap, over like something small, but it's because, like, there's been stuff building underneath that.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I don't like put on this face of like I'm enlightened, like I have it all together, because I will cry if I'm upset. And I will like show my emotions. I'm a very emotional person. But also like I'm not going to like point my fingers at things that are like, I also take responsibility for my emotions, I guess. Like I try not to put blame. And that's like hard too. I feel like sometimes maybe I do put blame without thinking about it. But I always circle back to myself and be like, okay, how did I like participate in this conflict? And how can I take responsibility? Because it takes two to tango, And like being the victim is just as much, you're just as much part of the game as being the perpetrator. And that's not saying it's like your fault if you're the victim, but like you also have the power to like remove yourself from the situation. And I mean, I'm not saying like you always do. Sometimes there's victim circumstances where the person is like locked up and tied up and there's no way to get out of the situation. And then that's like, okay. But like a lot of times people don't take responsibility as the victim to remove themselves from the situation. And that is like really important too, is like not to put up with being treated badly, having boundaries with people in your life. And I also think that's like a karmic cycle too. In past lifetimes, maybe you were in a circumstance where you were the victim and you couldn't remove yourself from the situation. And so now your body goes into this survival mode and you're like, I can't, like life or death, I can't get myself out of this situation. But like there's like a rewiring that needs to happen where it's like, yes, I can, and I can stand up to myself and I can set healthy boundaries. And that's like essential to be in flow state.
Right.
In your relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, like you got to take responsibility for your
Yeah.
own. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I guess I could talk about flow state and sports too.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost hard to talk about because when you find your flow state, it's like beyond words.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 5-minute videos on YouTube that explain how to get into it, but it's something,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something you can't really describe. Like the time moves slower or the time moves quicker. It's like nobody really knows what's going on, but at least
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I used to go-kart race nationally, like going around the racetrack, I would get into a flow state like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not every time. Sometimes I guess it's interesting, like I could do, all the preparations before the race, like workouts and stretching and nutrition and making sure that the go-kart is all set up properly. And even like, meditate the day before and just because I knew like, okay, I got to be, because everybody was so competitive. It was just these fine little margins that would be the difference between the middle of the pack and then winning the race. And sometimes there was like $500 prizes too for winning the races, but it was more just for the glory. So I would do all the preparation and then I'm racing and then I'm just like, middle of the pack and I'm just struggling. I'm like, like something's off today. I just don't have it. And then other times, on like the most random of days, like I would go into a weekend and I'd be like, it's a new track. I'm not that good at it. It's probably not going to win the race. I've been having, my go-kart hasn't been set up that good. I'm just, going to go for it anyway, And then some days I would just be like on a railroad track going around this course, like just flying and became one with the go-kart. And usually during these races, because you can follow people so closely, you can stay in their draft and then nobody can really get out front. It's really hard. It's kind of like in those bicycle races, you see the guys biking and they're following each other super close. So sometimes, like I said, on the most random of days, I would just be out front and then I would just like leave the pack behind and I'd be like a whole 10 20 seconds in front of everybody and I was in the flow state, just exceeding the limits of my mind and the go-kart. And
what did it feel like?
Well, it's almost like that third person view a little bit where you're just like watching yourself go around the racetrack and you're not necessarily thinking too much about it. And then I remember after sometimes, like very few occasions I would have those, but maybe like half a dozen or a dozen times out of a few years did that happen. And then like after the race, like this one guy's dad just came up to me and he was like, usually his son wins, and so he came up to me and he was just like, wow, you were like uncatchable out there. He was just like shocked kind of. He was like, your go-kart was on rails. So that's kind of the sport, like my experience with the sporting side of it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's so interesting. Like, what do you think what do you think would get you into that flow state? Like, is there anything that you can think of that put you in that state?
Well, I mean, part of it, I think part of entering that is you have to be in the present moment. You can't be worrying about, is my wheel going to fall off? Or I guess the same thing in relationships. Like, you can't be worrying about maybe any problems you guys might have or something.
Yeah.
Maybe. So once you're in the present moment, then I think it's easier to achieve that.
Yes. That makes sense. Like being present.
Yeah.
Not thinking about the future or the past.
Right. Not worrying about, maybe not even worrying about winning or losing the race, So, yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting thing to talk about for an hour is the flow state, because it's just hard to describe.
It's so hard to describe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're doing our best.
I think that was like a pretty good description, and also the being present, that's key.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not thinking about the future and the past. Like when I talk about like I think also the past will like arise when you have emotions that are buried, right? And so it's also like let that arise and like clear out through your system. I always say like I'm releasing like as this is coming up, instead of like identifying with that pain or with that narrative. Like I'm releasing it. And so like it's like the past will, like things you do in the present will remind you of the past, but I also try to see it as like, okay, and this is coming from like my whole, like everything I do, like my mission is to like talk about past lives and like share the wisdom of past life healing and like emotional healing. But like the whole goal is to bring yourself to the present. Like you're retrieving your soul fragments, and like you get fragmented off when you experience a traumatic event, and like part of your soul kind of like gets trapped in a loop of experiencing the same thing over and over again, because that feeling has been like, that traumatic event hasn't been like, that part of you was rejected in a way because it's experiencing trauma. And so, gosh, is that like, I hope that this is making sense, but like essentially like our soul,
it'll make sense to somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Like our soul fragments off when there's a trauma that we haven't fully like healed or processed, because it's like a part of you that's too sort of like we've disassociated from to as like a survival mechanism. But at some point we have to retrieve that soul fragment. And we can do this through healing like current life circumstances, because our current life usually directly reflects our past lives. Even though, like I said, I've lived a very sheltered life, like things in my current life would still trigger up that trauma. Like things that maybe wouldn't be that traumatic to a normal person would bring up really intense anxiety or something from like other lifetimes. So you don't even have to know the other lifetimes, but like just acknowledging that those feelings might be from another lifetime can help to like release it. And again, the whole goal is to like bring yourself to the present and like be fully here. And like I'm constantly calling in all my soul fragments back to me so I can be like fully present here. And I think, yeah, like, I mean, even right now, I feel like I'm going in flow state, conscious flow, like this podcast.
Oh wow! I actually didn't even make the connection that our podcast is called Conscious Flow, and we're doing flow state.
I feel like like something opens out for me, and I just feel like I start getting like visions and channeling, and like I go into like this flow state.
Yeah, and I think that's why podcasting has been so fun.
Yeah.
Together as a couple, we're doing this podcast, and we kind of get in the flow state with each other. I mean, we have really like great conversations, just when we're sitting on the couch.
That's why we decided to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's been a little bit of like a learning curve, and like, okay, it's not that natural to have these microphones. But after we've been doing it so many times, I think, and maybe that's it, just like repetition. And I guess when you spend so many days with a person, so I guess it might be more difficult if you're both working odd hours and you hardly see each other, or if you spend lots of time apart.
Yeah.
It might be more easily achievable if you spend more time together, perhaps.
But unless that's like what they want.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I also think
some people are married and they live in separate houses, so.
And that's their flow.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the bottom of this. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many pieces to it. I also think like letting go of control.
Yeah.
Is huge.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the past lives is really interesting because I think there are a lot of people that feel like they've had these past lives, but they might not know it's affecting their current life.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really great you wrote a book about your past life experiences. Because it was pretty traumatic for you. And of course that's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I'll link it below. It's called Before I Live, I Die. How I Overcame Fear of Death Through Past Life Healing. And it's by Mary Marley O'Neill. That's my full name. Everyone calls me Marley, but Mary Marley O'Neill is my full name. So yeah, I'll have that linked below if you're interested. It's definitely an intense book, and it's kind of just the awakening process. It's only the beginning, as I hope to write more books. But yeah, it was a really intense journey, and it's kind of like given me so much perspective. And so
in the book you mentioned the past life healing online course, right? Does that help people heal their past lives?
Yeah. So I also have an online course that I put together that walks you through step by step how to access and heal your past lives through what I call the emotional water body. It's basically your sentient body. It's your emotional body. I see it as your eternal body that carries with you from one life to the next. It's the part of you that remembers every life your soul's ever lived. It's where we store emotional trauma. It's also where we remember some of our most empowered lifetimes. So yeah, the online course walks you through step by step. It's honestly like an activation where it activates your water body, assists it in alchemizing and crystallizing, and there's guided meditations, and there's also just a lot of information, PDFs, journal prompts. And yeah, I believe anyone can remember their past lives. but it's not for everyone. Like I said, like my book is brutal and it's not pretty, but it's what really liberated me, and it's why now I can experience like being in a blissful state just like as a normal. And that's why I wrote this book. That's why I made this course. Yeah, it's for people who want to explore and heal their past lives.
Yeah.
So,
and then the other thing we're doing is offering relationship consulting. Now, this idea has come to us through our own intuition and flow state of what we want to do. I mean, we did, our last podcast was about manifesting $100 million. You can check that out. Last episode.
yeah.
And we've been following our, like I said, our intuition, our flow state, and we're feeling called to do this relationship consulting. And so you can book that through Calendly, I believe.
Yeah. It's called Conscious Consulting. And essentially, we would be working with you for a month at a time or 3 months at a time. We'd be meeting with you once a week. And it's either for, solo people out there or couples. And we're here to just support you in finding your flow state. And also, if you're calling in a partner, sorry, gotta clear my throat. If you're calling in a partner, whatever you're manifesting, we're here to support you in that and just creating a more harmonious life for yourself. And I kind of like see the karmic cycles that people are in, and I can support you in clearing those karmic cycles, whether it's through like really looking at your past lives or through maybe just, your current life emotional healing. And Kevin takes a very like practical approach, and he can kind of see like more, physical action and like,
yeah. I mean, as you can tell from this podcast, I think it's kind of that
it's
dynamic anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, like our dynamic is, I'm kind of more like inner core healing, and Kevin's like, okay, how can we like change your life, like circumstances and your physical and
right.
So
definitely check out the book. You can order that on Amazon today. Check out the online course after that, and the consulting.
We have a free consultation for the consulting too. So
free 15-minute call with us.
And I also do like my own healing work. Gosh, we're just laying it all out there, but I feel like this is very resonant with this topic. So I also do healing work, past life readings. You can check out my website if you feel called. So all of that will be down below. But yeah, this is just like, this is just kind of like how we flow, I guess. Like, I think to find flow, like the biggest thing is just like really letting go and getting out of your head and into your body. Right?
Yeah.
Gosh. So have we been talking for a whole hour, Kevy?
I think so. Somewhere around an hour, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so then like circling, kind of like bringing it to a close, I also like always come back to like what we're consuming and what we're putting into our bodies and what we're listening to is everything. And that's like also really important when it comes to like finding your flow state, is kind of how are you, like, what are you listening to, and is it programming your subconscious
to
be in your head? Like, think about the music that you're listening to. Think about the podcasts that you're listening to. Think about the TV that you're watching or the shows that you're watching. Think about the food that you're putting into your body, the water that you're drinking.
Yeah, organic food, high quality water.
Yeah. We're probably going to do a whole episode on like conscious consumption at some point.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
But that's another like part of the business. Like another thing we're doing is we are Kangen water distributors, and I'm like staring at the Kangen machine right now. But yeah, we're also Kangen water distributors because I feel really passionate about like what you put into your body is so important. And that's also like a huge part of my journey has been like changing what I'm consuming in order to like shift my body, in order to like feel comfortable being grounded in my body. And that is a huge part of why I feel like I can get into this bliss state.
Totally. I mean, it makes sense. The water you drink puts you in the flow state.
Yeah.
It's flowing through you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kangen water, medical grade water from Japan. It's amazing, and it's structured water. We will go deeper into it another time, but it is a business opportunity. And if you buy a machine from us and you also want to like be part of the business, it's no extra cost to do the business, and we will coach you and work with you, and also kind of do a similar like coaching style that we might for anyone who does conscious consulting with us. So that is just one of the other many things that we're doing. And yeah.
And I hope this helped you in your own relationship, or getting into the flow state.
Yeah. Finding your flow.
Yep.
Yeah. Speak your truth, set your boundaries. Yeah. And I also think one more thing is like being willing to like walk away from someone who is not respecting your boundaries, no matter like who they are. That like level of detachment is really key when it comes to like having healthy relationships. No one should be able to disrespect you. And that also kind of like creates the space. If you're willing to like step away from an unhealthy situation, it makes it easier to stand up for yourself, and also to like find harmony in that relationship if that's what it's meant to turn into, or also if not. And like prioritizing harmony, I think, is key. So if that means walking away, then that's also important to be honest with yourself about. So
Right. Well, I think we should wrap this up so we can get to the Florence Pipe Pro contest. So we can bliss out.
Oh my gosh, it stopped raining.
Contest.
It looks really good outside.
Flow state.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Peace.